The most painful experiences in life are pretty obvious stuff. Kidney stones, childbirth, snapping your femur bone in half, watching Friends, duh. But being a Cleveland sports fan, particularly a Cleveland baseball fan, has to be up there. It has to be. What these fans have been through is cruel. They already live in Cleveland to begin with, and then they have to get the biggest worst case of blue balls imaginable every year. Beyond brutal. It's the age-old question of whether you'd prefer to get blown out in a game or lose it in the very end after it was close the whole time. In this case, would you rather be a Cleveland Indians/Guardians fan and be constantly teased just to get let down in the end, or would you rather be a Seattle Mariners fan and never have to even worry about getting heartbroken in the playoffs at all? A big part of me would really pick the Mariners, but I was recently thinking about the specific recent history the Indians/Guardians have had, and it is insane just how many times this team has teased their fans and given them something so magical only to fall apart in the end. It never seemingly ends, and being an Indians now Guardians fan has become arguably the toughest fan to be because of it. I'm convinced. Really quick, as always, if you're part of the 51% of viewers not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button if you enjoy the videos. As the other day, my little sister was holding out a piece of food to the delight and anticipation of one of the dogs, and every time he would get close to grabbing it with his mouth, she'd pull it away. Cruel, right? You can't be doing that to dogs. That's mean. Unfortunately, Cleveland has been doing that to their baseball fans for over 3/4 of a century now. Cleveland's actually been one of the most successful organizations in baseball for a long time. For the last 30 years, they've made the postseason almost half of the last 3 decades. But for this video, I'm going to stick with the last 10 years or so. Actually, I lied. I'm starting in 2013, but close enough. Get over it. The 2013 Indians were good. Everything about the team was just solid. Jason Kipnis and Carlos Santana were the best players on offense. An up-and-coming 20-year-old by the name of Jose Ramirez came up to play 15 games at the end of the year. They won 92 games, which wasn't good enough for the division because of the Tigers finishing just a game ahead, as Cleveland brought that to the very end. The Indians caught fire to end the season, winning their final 10 games in a row. So the momentum was as high as it could possibly be. They were home for the wild card game. Things looked great until they were shut out by the Rays 4-0. Just like that, done. And what followed was 2 very mediocre, forgettable seasons, but in the midst of those 2 mediocre and forgettable seasons was something special brewing. 2014, yeah, they weren't bad, they were just meh. The corpse of Jason Giambi was on his way out, but the pitching was where it was at. The bullpen was great, and in the rotation, Corey Kluber went out and won the Cy Young Award with a masterpiece of a season. 2015 was when a young player by the name of Francisco Lindor came up for his first crack at the big leagues, and he immediately showed star power in the 99 games he played. The team wasn't good. Not bad, just there. But again, something special was growing. The pitching was good again. Things looked fairly bright for 2016. And then 2016 was when things got rolling. With baseball season back, it's the perfect time to talk about getting tickets, and that's where SeatGeek comes in to help you out with that. They're obviously credible. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, which includes concerts, sports, festivals, and more. I always use SeatGeek for my tickets. I've been doing it for years, and it's very easy/straightforward. And SeatGeek has your back, as each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal, so you can see where the best deals are. Green is for the good deals, orange is like red is for the bad deals. The more red it gets, the worse it is. The more green it gets, the better it is. And this is where I come in, as you can get 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek by using code iTALK10. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code iTALK10. That's ITALK10. Make sure you click the link in the description or pin comment below to download the app. Now back to the video. Jose Ramirez, that young guy who showed some potential in the 15 games he played to end 2013, well, he got some playing time the next 2 years, but unfortunately wasn't good really at all. But everything changed in 2016. Jose Ramirez became the player we all know and love today, doing so alongside Francisco Lindor. I never realized Jose Ramirez played much of the outfield until I made this video. He played a ton of left field in 2016, along with third base and second base. But he was good. He hit, so did Lindor, and the Indians' offense became a top 10 offense in baseball. Carlos Santana kept mashing, Jason Kipnis was really good, Rajai Davis was their base stealer guy, so he wasn't going to hit any big home runs or anything like that, but he brought enough value with his legs, and my god, without context, that sounds insane. Anyway, moving on, the pitching stayed hot, just staying consistently solid yet again this time on a 94-win division winning team. Now, in 2016, when looking at the American League, the Indians were the last team to look at in terms of who people expected to go far. Like, the 2016 Indians' success was a lot quieter than most might remember. They were a fun team with special moments. Who can forget about Party at Napoli's, a million times more fun and respectable than a Diddy party? This team had a lot going for them, but the Red Sox won their division and had David Ortiz putting up MVP numbers in his final season, so that was a big magical storyline. The Texas Rangers, who'd won their division the year before, were even better in 2016, and Adrian Beltre was still getting it done toward the end of his career, what's now a Hall of Fame career like Ortiz. The Bird teams out east fought it out for the wild card. Beer cans were being thrown at players in the middle of plays in a game the Blue Jays won, meaning they were taking on the Rangers again in a long-awaited rematch after the way the previous playoff series between them ended, which followed with Rougned Odor socking Jose Bautista in the face during the regular season. I mean, there was a lot going on. So the Indians were actually flying under the radar going into the playoffs, and they quickly let everyone know how stupid they were for doing that. They pummeled the Red Sox at home before going back to Fenway and winning Game 3 to end Big Papi's career. One of the few times I've actually cried after a game. And on to the Blue Jays it was for the Indians, and just like with Boston, they took good care of Toronto. And this is when the wrath of Andrew Miller was revealed to the baseball world. Just a cheat code out of Cleveland's bullpen to go along with all the other nasty relievers they had to support a good rotation. I mean, when one of your starters has to leave a game early because of a bleeding finger he suffered from being so irresponsible and playing with a drone beforehand, yet you still win the series in 5 games, you know this pitching staff and overall team was special. Fortunately, this was at least a learning moment for the young Bauer, and he would avoid any problematic situations moving forward. So just based off what had happened these first 2 series, this team really did feel magical, and it fit that they were going to play another team looking to finish a magical run of the World Series, the Cubs, a team that hadn't won a championship in 108 years, while Cleveland hadn't won since 1948. A lot of history on the line, so here we go. And by Game 5, it looked like the Indians were about to finish off the series the same way they did with the Red Sox and Blue Jays. Quicker than expected, clean, and crisp. Jose Ramirez smacks a homer to put Cleveland ahead early, and you're thinking this may really be it until the Cubs rally for 3 runs in the 4th inning, holding off the Indians and forcing the series back to Cleveland, where the Cubs wouldn't mess around in their pursuit for a Game 7, winning in blowout fashion, and this was now it. After being up 3-1 in the series, it was win or go home now for the Indians. And, I mean, they were already home, but you get the point. The Cubs immediately went ahead 1-0. All of a sudden, Cleveland's once dominant pitching had no answers. Kluber was getting rocked, so was Andrew Miller. I mean, he went from being the legit deadliest weapon in baseball to giving up home runs to David Ross. No offense to David Ross, but yeah, you give up a home run to David Ross. The Cubs had what looked to be full control. John Lester's dominating. The Cubs are 4 outs away from a win until the rally of a lifetime happened. With Cleveland down 3, Jose Ramirez sneaks a hit through the middle with 2 outs. In comes flame-throwing Aroldis Chapman to lock it down, and after working the count full, Brandon Guyer drives one to right center, bringing home Ramirez, 6-4. Up next, Rajai Davis, the base stealer. Choking up so much on the bat, he was flirting with holding the barrel, just looking to get in front of a fastball and do anything he can to keep this inning going. And the man with just 12 home runs that season, a man who also finished his entire 14-year career with 62 home runs, did just that, getting out in front of a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and driving it right into the camera over the left field wall to tie the game in one of the most magical baseball moments I've ever witnessed in my life. And in a way, this really did fit. I mean, Cleveland had practically bulldozered their way to the World Series. They were bound to have some stress during the actual World Series itself. And here's a miraculous, improbable moment that happens, and you're thinking maybe Cleveland really does win this after all. All the hopes and dreams are back until they weren't, and it completely fell apart after the quick rain delay heading into extra innings. The Cubs score 2 runs. Rajai Davis drives home another in the 10th with a single, but the next hitter up, Michael Martinez, wouldn't follow up with a magical moment, at least not for Cleveland, grounding into the final out of a curse-breaking Cubs championship. I mean, just heartbreaking stuff. This series was in the palm of your hands. You had one of the more magical baseball moments ever, maybe the most. And it ends up with you failing to hold on, losing.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
That sucks. But the way the 2017 team was going, 2016 looked to be a preview of the real magic. The Indians were even better in 2017, winning 102 games in the division again. But it was special, like really, really special. Cleveland had a special winning streak in June of 2016, winning 14 games in a row. And when you look back, that was a pretty defining moment in that team running away with the division and going on the eventual run that they did. But in 2017, The Indians didn't win 14 games in a row. They won 22 games in a row, breaking the famous A's record when they won 20 in a row in their Moneyball season. Yeah, Cleveland couldn't be hotter as it got into the colder part of the year. And the way they capped off the winning streak, bringing it to 22, was insane. They were down to their final out, only Francisco Lindor to fly one off the wall and left to bring home the tying run before Jay Bruce walked it off in the 10th. Hollywood can't write this shit. They go on to play the Yankees in the first round of the postseason, shutting them out 4-0 in Game 1, but Game 2 is where the magic was on display. The Yankees jumped ahead 8-3 at one point, looking to be rolling on to tying this series up and head back to New York. And that's when Francisco Lindor decided to hit one of the more goosebump-inducing home runs in baseball history, hammering a baseball off the foul pole and right, but I'd be a criminal if I didn't play Matt Vasgersian's call. A couple innings later, Jay Bruce ties it with a homer to left. The game goes all the way to 13 innings where the Indians would walk it off to go up 2-0 in the series. Yeah, this team is special and looking for vengeance after the way 2016 ended. Except somehow, some way, that was it. All it took was one home run off Andrew Miller in Game 3 for the Yankees to win. They dominated Game 4, forcing a Game 5 back in Cleveland, where Didi Gregorius would take Corey Kluber deep twice. The Indians just completely melted down by the end, and that was it. Looking back, maybe the Yankees wish they didn't win the series, considering that year's ALCS would wind up being the start of Houston being their biggest headache for years to come. I mean, actually, that was 2015, but that was more a prologue. This was the true beginning. But either way, another year of so much promise, so much magic, so much of that meant to be feeling for Cleveland down the drain without a championship to show for it. They'd win the division again in 2018, but get dusted by the Astros in the ALDS, a series where the Indians caught an Astros employee taking pictures of their dugout, only for that employee's excuse to be that he was just making sure the Indians weren't cheating. I see. Yeah, that creepy guy looking into the girls' bathroom. How dare you insinuate he was creeping around? He was just making sure you perverted women weren't looking into the men's bathroom. Obviously. The age-old excuse works every time. According to the commissioner's report, after the scandal broke in early 2020, the Astros stopped cheating in early 2018, which never made sense to me. Why would they just randomly stop at a random time? And when you go back and see stuff like this, the suspicion teams had long before it became a big scandal, you realize there's a lot of details we don't know and either never will truly know or won't know until even more time passes. But anyway, the Indians lost, missed the postseason for the first time in a long time in 2019, made it in 2020 only to lose to the Yankees again in the first round, this time in front of 0 people. Trade Francisco Lindor to the Mets, become mediocre again in 2021, and then officially change their name to the Cleveland Guardians after the Indians got canceled. But hey, the team was back to winning in 2022. The offense was very good, so was the pitching. They had a guy who turned into the Hulk after hitting big home runs. They had SpongeBob. They had the best closer in baseball, Manuel Clase. I mean, this team had guys. And with the new playoff format, even though they won their division, they finished with the worst record of the 3 division winners. So they took on the Rays at home for a 3-game series that only took 2 games that nobody cared to hit in. Cleveland won 2-1 in Game 1, and it took not 1, not 2, not 3 or 4, but 15 innings for either team to score in Game 2, with Cleveland walking off their old friend to win the series. Next up, New York. Again, Yankees take care of Game 1, but here's where that Cleveland magic started kicking in again. They'd win a nail-biter in Game 2, winning 4-2 in extra innings to tie the series before pulling out another Rajay Davis, Francisco Lindor-esque moment, this time courtesy of SpongeBob, Oscar Gonzalez. The Guardians are down 5-3 in the bottom of the 9th, and a rally puts a run on the board. The tying run at third, go-ahead run at second, but there's 2 outs. And with 2 strikes on Gonzalez, he just reaches out and sends a changeup up the middle to score 2. Come on. This is it. Cleveland's got to win this series, right? How nuts is that? Well, no, it ended up turning into the dude who turns into the Hulk, into a complete maniac, Josh Naylor making a mockery of himself by the end of the series. After taking Garrett Cole deep in Game 4, he celebrated and mocked Cole by doing a rock the baby celebration around the bases. The Yankees won that game and soundly won Game 5 back in New York, rocking the baby on the final out. Well, that's another crappy ending to such a promising run. And after taking 2023 off to give the Twins a chance to be happy for one time, Cleveland was back at it in 2024, this time with a new manager after Terry Francona took a year off. Stephen Vogt, who could not not be any more perfect of a fit. Almost like a younger version of Tito in a sense, someone who shows a lot of emotion and love for his players, really getting the best out of them, and the Guardians went back to their winning ways, winning 92 games again in the division. Jose Ramirez continues to build his Hall of Fame career. The Guardians' bullpen is filthy. What's new? Emmanuel Clase puts up the season of a lifetime, pitching to a .61 ERA and saving 47 games. What a stud. That's a guy that's going to come in handy in the postseason. This time they were one of the top 2 seeds, getting a bye and playing the winner of Houston and Detroit's wildcard series, a series the Tigers would take good care of after magically making the postseason. So it was now time for an interesting division matchup. Guardians-Tigers, and the first 3 games were weird. The loser didn't score a single run in any of them. The Guardians won 7-0 in Game 1. Tigers come back to win 3-0 in Game 2 off of Kerry Carpenter's 3-run 9th inning homer off Clase. And then the Tigers win 3-0 in Game 3 back at the first home Tigers playoff game in 10 years. And after going back and forth in Game 4, the Tigers were ahead 3-2 in the 7th with 2 outs. Their magical run looks to be continuing into the ALCS until David Fry says otherwise, smacking a 2-run homer over the wall and left, driving an insurance run in a couple innings later on a bunt, and they'd hold on to force a Game 5 back in Cleveland. So that's big, that's clutch, but if they were going to win the series, they were going to now have to go through Tarek Skubal in Game 5. And after a dominant 4 innings and the Tigers jumping ahead 1-0, Cleveland got to work, capping off their 5th inning rally with a grand slam off the bat of Lane Thomas. The Tigers still put up some runs after this in a fight, but so did the Guardians, and that was it. The 2-1 series comeback was complete, and Cleveland was moving on to face who other than the Yankees. It's biennial at this point. Every 2 years, these two match up, and this time the Yankees look to immediately just dominate, with the Guardians not having a lead for a single second in New York. But Game 3 was different. Cleveland was the first to score and took a 3-1 lead late, and with just 4 outs to go, they had the opportunity to bring in the best reliever in the game for those final 4. Except instead of that happening, Aaron Judge would adjust on Clase's nasty hard cutter, smacking it down and away to send a liner over the right field wall, tying the game. Then Stanton taking a hanging slider and sending it into right center to go back-to-back, giving New York the lead. And just like that, within the matter of minutes and 2 at-bats, Clase gave up as many home runs as he did all regular season. The Yankees would tack on another in the 9th. It's 4-2 now, and any hope for a rally was pretty much killed in the bottom of the inning. After Jose Ramirez led off with a shot too hot for Anthony Rizzo to handle, Josh Naylor immediately hits into a double play. 2 outs, nobody on. The count is 0-2 on the next hitter, Lane Thomas. Misery in Cleveland until Thomas proceeds to work the count full and fly a ball high off the wall for a double, keeping the Guardians alive by a thread. Pinch hit time, and comes the rookie Jhonkensy Noel, a man who only played 64 games all year, but he has pop, so watch out. And, well, he brought out his inner Rajay Davis, sending the second pitch he saw into the Cleveland night to tie the game. From out of absolutely nowhere, this game was now tied, and it would end via another 2-run homer by ALDS Game 4's hero, David Fry. The Yankees are still in the driver's seat, but after such a dramatic, ridiculous, improbable way to end the game like that, Cleveland has the chance to do something truly special, and after being down 6-2 late in Game 4, they worked some more magic. A 3-run rally in the 7th would make it 6-5, and with 2 outs in the 8th, they say put the ball in play, good things happen, and that's exactly how they tied it. A soft grounder to the pitcher, Weaver, that he just couldn't come up with cleanly. He flips it to Rizzo just for the ball to go through Rizzo's legs. The game is tied. You have got to be kidding me. I mean, this is destiny forming right in front of our eyes. Until Emmanuel Clase failed to redeem himself, giving up another couple runs, and the Guardians threat in the 9th but failed to cash in again. Ball game. In Game 5, another close battle just for Juan Soto to come through in the 10th for 3. Guardians lose, and at this point, it's like watching the same movie over again. It's like watching the same movie over again with alternate endings that are slightly different, but still the same result in the end. That's painful to watch. I mean, how many magical winning streaks, comebacks, and improbable moments are going to happen just for it all to end in disappointment? It really is just insane to see how much heartbreak they've given their fans, no matter how promising things have looked. And as spring training gets underway, the Guardians still look good. There are some differences, like Josh Naylor no longer being there after he was traded to Arizona, but the pitching looks great. God bless Jose Ramirez, a man who decided to take an incredibly team-friendly deal to stay in Cleveland 3 years ago, despite having the ability to get more than 2 times what he got. He's still under contract for another 4 years. Stephen Vogt is a reigning manager of the year, an award he attributed to the organization, which, I mean, this is a very well-run organization. They may not spend much money at all. They may only have been able able to keep one of their stars because he was generous enough to not give a single crap about how much money he got. But from a baseball operations standpoint, Cleveland's proven to be pretty advanced. Hence, the 14 postseason appearances in the last 30 years, 6 of them coming in the last 9 years. It's really impressive, but still no ring to show for it. Maybe that changes in 2025, but it's one of those things where at this point, I don't know if any Cleveland Guardians fan will believe this is a championship team until they're actually hoisting up that trophy. I know I won't believe it until that's the case, because no matter how much magic and memorable baseball moments go down with this franchise over the years, they remain cursed through it all. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching.